She was left in tears on a date until a millionaire stranger said, "He'll regret losing you." Grace Turner had spent 2 years rebuilding herself. 2 years learning to be whole again after her ex-fiancé left her 3 weeks before their wedding. 2 years convincing herself she deserved love. Tonight was supposed to be her fresh start. A new relationship, a new beginning. She'd worn her favorite blue dress, the one that made her feel confident and beautiful. Met her boyfriend at the most romantic restaurant in the city. Candlelight, rooftop views, hope blooming in her chest for the first time in forever. Then he said the words that shattered everything. "You're just not the kind of woman I see a future with." He stood up, adjusted his tie, and walked away, leaving her alone at a table surrounded by strangers who pretended not to notice her breaking. Grace tried to hold it together, tried to smile through the humiliation. But her hands shook as she reached for her water glass, tears streaming down her face despite her best efforts. At the bar, a man watched, not with pity, with recognition, like he understood exactly what it felt like to be discarded. Ethan Ward, millionaire investor, perpetually lonely despite his wealth, had come to this restaurant to escape another empty evening. But when he saw Grace's tears, when he saw the waiter trying to clear her dessert, like her presence no longer mattered, something inside him broke. He stood, walked to her table, and said the words that would change both their lives. "He'll regret losing you. Anyone would." Before we begin, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from and what time it is. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We share powerful stories of love, healing, and second chances every single week. Now let's get into it. 3 hours earlier, Grace Turner stood in front of her bathroom mirror, staring at her reflection. The blue dress fit perfectly. She'd bought it 6 months ago during a moment of optimism, thinking maybe, just maybe, she was ready to try again, ready to believe in love again, ready to let someone in. Her best friend, Maya, sat on the edge of the bathtub, scrolling through her phone. "You look beautiful," Maya said without looking up. "Derek's going to lose his mind when he sees you." Grace touched the fabric nervously. "You think so?" "I know so. That dress was made for you." Grace turned, studying herself from different angles. The dress was simple but elegant, royal blue, fitted at the waist, falling just above her knees. It made her feel like herself, the version of herself she'd been before Ryan destroyed her. "What if this is a mistake?" Grace asked quietly. Maya finally looked up. "What if what's a mistake?" "This, Derek, dating, all of it." Maya stood, crossing to her friend. "Grace, you've been healing for 2 years. You've done the therapy, the self-work, the whole journey. At some point, you have to let yourself try again. But what if I'm not ready? What if I mess it up? What if he's not Ryan?" Maya interrupted gently. "Derek is sweet. He's been patient with you. He hasn't pushed. And most importantly, he seems genuinely interested in you, not just what you can do for him." Grace wanted to believe that. Derek had been a colleague at the marketing firm where she worked as a freelance graphic designer. They'd been assigned to the same project 3 months ago. He'd asked her to coffee, then lunch, then dinner. Always respectful, never pushy, making it clear he was interested but willing to move at her pace. 3 weeks ago, after their 5th date, she'd finally agreed to be his girlfriend. Tonight was their first official date as a couple, and Grace was terrified. "What if I'm not enough?" she whispered. Maya's expression softened. "Grace, listen to me. Ryan was an idiot who didn't deserve you. He left because he was broken, not because you were. You are more than enough. You're brilliant, kind, creative, and anyone would be lucky to have you." Grace's eyes filled with tears. "Then why did he leave?" "Because he was a coward who wanted easy instead of real, and you dodged a bullet." Grace nodded, wiping her eyes carefully to avoid smudging her makeup. "You're right. I know you're right." "Of course I'm right. I'm always right." Maya hugged her friend tightly. "Now go. Have an amazing dinner. Let Derek see how incredible you are, and text me later so I know you're okay." "I will. Thank you. For everything." That's what best friends are for. The restaurant was called Skyline, a rooftop venue with panoramic views of the city, white tablecloths, candlelight, soft jazz playing in the background, the kind of place that felt special, romantic. Grace arrived 5 minutes early, her stomach fluttering with nerves. Derek was already there, standing near the entrance in a perfectly tailored suit. He smiled when he saw her. "Grace, you look stunning." "Thank you. You look great too." He kissed her cheek, still keeping things appropriate, respectful. They were seated at a table by the window, the city lights twinkling below them. For the first 20 minutes, everything was perfect. Derek asked about her day, her latest design project, her thoughts on expanding her freelance work into a full business. He listened, really listened, and Grace felt herself relaxing. Maybe Maya was right. Maybe she could do this. Maybe not every man was Ryan. They ordered dinner. Grace chose the salmon, Derek the steak. The food was exquisite. The conversation flowed easily. And for the first time in 2 years, Grace felt hope. Then Derek's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned, typed a quick response. It happened again 5 minutes later. And again. "Sorry," he said, not sounding particularly sorry. "Work thing." "On a Friday night?" "Unfortunately. Big client, demanding timeline." Grace nodded, understanding. She worked in the same industry. She knew how it was, but something in Derek's tone had shifted. He seemed distracted now, less present. His answers became shorter, his smile less genuine. Grace's stomach started to knot. This felt familiar, too familiar. By the time dessert arrived, a chocolate lava cake they were supposed to share, Derek had barely touched his food. He set down his fork and looked at her seriously. Grace's heart sank. "Derek, is everything okay?" He took a breath. "Grace, you're a really sweet person." The words hit her like ice water. She knew what came after sentences that started that way. "But," she prompted, her voice barely above a whisper, "but I've been thinking about us, about what I want in a relationship." Grace's hands started trembling. "And?" Derek looked uncomfortable, like he wanted to be anywhere but here. "And I just don't think we're compatible. Long term." "What does that mean?" He shifted in his seat. "You're wonderful, really, but you're just not the kind of woman I see a future with." The words landed like physical blows. Grace felt her chest constrict. "I don't understand. 3 weeks ago you asked me to be your girlfriend. What changed?" "Nothing changed. I just realized we want different things." "What do I want that's so different from you?" Derek sighed, clearly wanting this conversation to end. "You're quiet, reserved. You're content with your freelance work and your small circle of friends. That's fine. But I need someone more ambitious. Someone who matches my energy." Grace stared at him, trying to process. "So I'm not ambitious enough?" "I didn't say that. You just did." Derek pulled out his wallet, placing cash on the table. More than enough to cover the bill and tip. "I'm sorry, Grace, I really am. You'll find someone who appreciates what you have to offer. I'm just not that person." He stood, adjusted his tie, and without waiting for her response, walked away. Just like that. Leaving her sitting alone at a candlelit table in a restaurant full of happy couples. Grace sat frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe. The conversations around her seemed to blur into white noise. She was dimly aware of other diners glancing her way, some with pity, some with curiosity, all witnesses to her humiliation. This wasn't supposed to happen again. She'd been so careful, taken it slow, protected her heart, and still, here she was, abandoned. Again, told she wasn't enough. Again. The tears came before she could stop them. Silent at first, then harder, her shoulders shaking despite her efforts to hold it together. She reached for her water glass with trembling hands, taking a sip, trying desperately to compose herself. A waiter approached, young, clearly uncomfortable. "Miss, is everything... Can I get you anything?" Grace shook her head, not trusting her voice. "Would you like the check?" She nodded. The waiter hesitated, then reached for the half-eaten dessert. "I'll just clear this." "Don't." The voice came from behind her. Deep, firm, but not unkind. Grace turned to see a man standing there. Tall, dark hair, expensive suit that fit him perfectly. Grey eyes that held something she couldn't quite name. Concern, maybe. Or understanding. He looked at the waiter. "She's still finishing." The waiter glanced between them, confused. Okay, sure." He retreated quickly. The stranger looked at Grace. "May I sit?" Grace wiped her eyes, embarrassed. "I'm not really in the mood for company." "I know, but I think you might need it anyway." Something in his tone made her pause. It wasn't pushy or entitled, just honest. "Okay," she said quietly. He sat across from her, in the seat Derek had vacated. For a moment, neither spoke. Then he said, "I saw what happened, and that guy is an idiot." Grace let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. "You don't even know me." "I know enough. I know he walked away from someone who clearly deserves better. And I know you're sitting here crying instead of throwing that dessert at his head, which shows remarkable restraint." Despite everything, Grace smiled slightly. "I considered it." "You should have. Would have been justified." He gestured to the chocolate lava cake. "Are you actually going to eat that, or was I just being dramatic with the waiter?" Grace looked at the dessert. "I don't know, it feels weird to eat dessert alone after being dumped." "Then don't eat it alone." He picked up Derek's unused fork, took a bite, and made an appreciative sound. "That's exceptional. Your loss is now our gain." Grace stared at this stranger who'd inserted himself into her worst moment with such casual confidence. "Who are you?" "Ethan Ward." "And you are?" "Grace Turner. And you're very strange." "I've been called worse." He pushed the dessert toward her. "Eat. Crying on an empty stomach is never a good idea." Grace picked up her fork, taking a small bite. He was right. It was delicious. They sat in silence for a moment, sharing the dessert. Then Ethan spoke again. "Can I tell you something?" "I guess." "He'll regret losing you. Anyone would." Grace's eyes filled with fresh tears. "You don't know that." "Yes, I do. Because I've seen men like him before. Men who mistake quiet strength for weakness, who think ambition only looks one way, who are too shallow to recognize depth when it's sitting right in front of them." That's a lot to gather from watching a breakup from across the room. "I'm good at reading people. It's kind of my job." "What do you do?" "I invest in companies, figure out which ones are worth believing in." "And you think I'm worth believing in?" Ethan met her eyes. "I think anyone who can sit here with dignity after what just happened, who can still smile even while crying, who has the strength to try again after clearly being hurt before, yes, you're absolutely worth believing in." Grace didn't know what to say. This stranger was saying things Derek never had, things Ryan never had, seeing things in her she'd forgotten were there. "Why are you being so nice to me?" she asked quietly. Ethan was quiet for a moment. "Because I know what it's like to be discarded, to have someone look at you and decide you're not enough. It's a terrible feeling, and no one should have to sit through it alone." There was pain in his voice, real pain. "Someone left you?" Grace asked. 6 months ago. My girlfriend of 2 years told me she'd never actually loved me. She loved my money, my connections, the lifestyle, but not me." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It taught me something important." "What?" "That being wanted for the wrong reasons is worse than not being wanted at all." Grace understood that. Completely. They finished the dessert together, the conversation flowing more easily now. Ethan told her about his work, investing in startups, identifying potential, taking calculated risks. Grace told him about her graphic design work, her dreams of starting her own firm someday, her fear of not being brave enough. "Why aren't you brave enough?" Ethan asked. "Because the last time I took a risk on something, it destroyed me." "Want to tell me about it?" Grace hesitated. She didn't usually talk about Ryan, especially not with strangers, but something about Ethan made her feel safe. His name was Ryan. We were engaged, wedding planned, dress bought, invitations sent. What happened? 3 weeks before the wedding, he came to me and said he'd met someone else. Someone more exciting, more ambitious, more everything I wasn't. Ethan's jaw tightened. He left you 3 weeks before your wedding? Yes. That's not just cruel, that's cowardice. That's what my best friend said. Your best friend is smart. Grace smiled sadly. It took me 2 years to even consider dating again. And tonight was supposed to be this big step forward. Proof that I was healed. Ready. And instead? Instead, I got reminded that maybe I'm not enough. That maybe Ryan was right. Ethan leaned forward. Grace, listen to me carefully. Ryan was wrong. Derek was wrong. And anyone who makes you feel like you're not enough is either blind or broken. How can you know that? You just met me. Because I'm sitting here having the most genuine conversation I've had in months. Because you're articulate, thoughtful, and kind, even when you have every reason to be bitter. Because there's a light in you that those idiots were too shallow to appreciate. Grace's breath caught. You barely know me. Sometimes you know what matters quickly. And what matters is that you're real. In a world full of people performing, you're actually present. They stared at each other across the table. The restaurant had started to empty, the late dinner crowd thinning. Finally, Ethan spoke. I know this is probably terrible timing, but can I give you my number? Grace blinked. What? My number, in case you ever want to talk, or get coffee, or just need someone to remind you that you're worth more than how you've been treated. Are you asking me out? I'm offering friendship. Anything beyond that is entirely up to you and entirely on your timeline. Grace studied him. He was handsome. That was obvious. But more than that, he seemed genuine, like he actually meant what he was saying, not trying to impress her, not performing kindness to get something in return, just being human. Okay, she said quietly. Ethan pulled out his phone. What's your number? Grace rattled it off, and seconds later her phone buzzed with a text. Now you have mine too. Use it whenever you need to. No pressure, no expectations, just an option. Ethan. She looked up at him. Thank you for sitting with me, for making this night slightly less terrible. Slightly? Ethan smiled. I need to work on my game. Grace laughed, a real laugh, the first genuine one all evening. Okay, significantly less terrible. Better. The waiter appeared with the check. Ethan took it before Grace could reach for it. I've got this. You don't have to, I know. But Derek left you sitting here and that check includes his meal too, so I'm covering it. Non-negotiable. Grace wanted to protest, but she was exhausted, emotionally drained, and honestly grateful not to have to deal with the bill after everything. Thank you. You're welcome. Ethan signed the check, leaving a generous tip. They stood together. Can I walk you to your car? He asked. I took an Uber. Then can I give you a ride home or call you a car? I don't feel right leaving you to wait alone. Grace hesitated. Every self-preservation instinct told her not to get in a car with a stranger. But Ethan didn't feel like a stranger. A ride would be nice if you're sure it's not too much trouble. Not even a little. Ethan's car was exactly what Grace expected. Sleek, expensive, immaculate. A black Mercedes that probably cost more than she made in 2 years. But he opened her door like it was the most natural thing in the world, didn't make a show of it, just did it. The drive to her apartment should have been awkward. Instead, they picked up their conversation where they'd left off. Grace asked about his work. Ethan explained how he evaluated companies, not just on profit potential, but on the people running them, the problems they were solving, the impact they could make. Money is just a tool, he said. What matters is what you build with it. Not everyone sees it that way. No. Most people I know measure success by zeros in a bank account, but that's empty, hollow. Then why do you do it? Ethan was quiet for a moment. Because I grew up with nothing. And I swore that if I ever made it, I'd use what I had to help people who were where I used to be. Where were you? Poor. Like choosing between electricity and groceries poor. My mum worked 3 jobs. My dad left when I was 8. I put myself through college on scholarships and student loans. I just finished paying off 3 years ago. Grace looked at him with new eyes. You don't seem like someone who came from that. I learned to code switch, to fit into rooms full of people who were born into wealth, but I never forgot where I came from. That's rare. So is finding someone genuine in a city full of performers. He glanced at her. Which is why meeting you tonight felt like fate. Grace's heart skipped. You don't believe in fate. I didn't. Until about 2 hours ago. They pulled up in front of Grace's apartment building, a modest complex in a decent but not fancy neighborhood. Ethan didn't comment on it, didn't make her feel less than for not living somewhere expensive, just put the car in park and turned to face her. Thank you for letting me salvage your evening, or at least try to. You did more than try, you succeeded. Good, because watching you cry broke something in me, and watching you smile fixed it. Grace felt heat rise in her cheeks. You're very direct. Life's too short to play games. I learned that the hard way. She reached for the door handle, then stopped. Ethan? Yeah? Why did you really come over to my table? He didn't hesitate. Because I saw myself in you. Someone who'd been hurt. Someone who was trying to hold it together in public. Someone who deserved better than they'd gotten. He paused. And because the moment I saw you, before your boyfriend even left, I thought you were the most beautiful woman in the room. And then he walked away, and I thought he was the stupidest man alive. Grace's breath caught. That's a lot. Too much? No, just unexpected. The best things usually are. Grace opened the door, then turned back. Text me tomorrow, if you still want to. Ethan smiled. I will. Sleep well, Grace. You too. She walked to her building, feeling his eyes on her until she was safely inside. When she turned back, he was still there waiting, making sure she was safe, just like he'd promised. Grace's apartment was small but cozy. 1 bedroom, barely enough space for her desk and design equipment, but it was hers. She'd moved here after Ryan left, couldn't stay in the apartment they'd shared, couldn't live surrounded by memories of a future that died. She kicked off her heels, feeling the relief of being barefoot. Her phone buzzed. Maya. Well, how did it go? Are you in love? Do I need to plan a wedding? Grace stared at the text, not sure how to respond. How did she explain that Derek dumped her, but she'd met someone else in the same night? That she was emotionally exhausted, but also hopeful? She called instead. Maya answered on the first ring. Tell me everything. Derek broke up with me. Silence. Then, what? Midway through dinner, said I'm not the kind of woman he sees a future with, that I'm not ambitious enough. That absolute, I'm going to kill him, I'm literally going to murder him in his sleep. Maya, no, I'm serious. I know people. I can make it look like an accident. Maya. Her friend took a breath. Sorry, I'm sorry. Are you okay? Do you need me to come over? I can be there in 20 minutes. I'm okay, actually. How are you okay? Grace, he humiliated you. Because someone else was there. Maya paused. What? Grace told her everything. Ethan appearing at her table. The conversation. The ride home. The way he made her feel seen. By the time she finished, Maya was silent. Maya? You still there? I'm here. I'm just processing. What are you processing? Grace, this is literally a romance novel plot. Handsome stranger rescues heartbroken woman from public humiliation. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. And I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying, be careful. Grace felt her defenses rise. Careful of what? Of rebound feelings, of confusing gratitude with attraction, of falling for someone because of timing instead of compatibility. I'm not falling for anyone, we just talked. Uh-huh. And he gave you his number, and drove you home, and made you feel beautiful. What's wrong with that? Nothing. Nothing is wrong with it. I just don't want you to get hurt again. You've been through so much, and maybe this is exactly what I need, Grace interrupted. Someone who sees me as enough. Who doesn't make me feel like I have to change to be worthy. Maya sighed. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm being overprotective. You're being a good friend, but I'm okay, really. Okay. But if this Ethan guy turns out to be a creep, I reserve the right to say I told you so. Deal. After they hung up, Grace got ready for bed, but sleep wouldn't come. She kept replaying the evening. Derek's words, "You're just not the kind of woman I see a future with." Ethan's words, "He'll regret losing you, anyone would." Two men. Two completely different messages about her worth. Her phone lit up. A text from an unknown number. Except it wasn't unknown anymore. I know it's late, but I wanted to make sure you got home safely and that you're okay. Tonight was hard, but you handled it with grace, literally and figuratively. Sleep well. Ethan. Grace stared at the message. No one had ever checked on her like this. Not Ryan. Definitely not Derek. She typed back, "I'm home safe and surprisingly okay. Thank you for tonight, for seeing me when I felt invisible. It meant more than you know." His response came quickly. "You're impossible to miss, Grace. Even in a room full of people, you stand out. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." Grace set her phone down, her heart doing something complicated in her chest. She barely knew this man, but he'd said and done more in 3 hours than Derek had in 3 weeks, than Ryan had in 3 years. Maybe Maya was right to be cautious. Maybe this was just timing and gratitude and emotional vulnerability. But maybe, just maybe, it was something real. If you've ever felt like you weren't enough, like you needed to change to be loved, drop a comment and let us know. You're not alone. And you are enough, exactly as you are. The next morning, Grace woke to sunlight streaming through her window. For the first time in weeks, she'd slept through the night. No nightmares about Ryan, no anxiety about Derek, just rest. She checked her phone. 2 texts, one from Maya. "Morning, how are you feeling? Want to get brunch and debrief?" One from Ethan. "Good morning, I hope you slept well. No pressure, but if you're free for coffee today, I'd love to see you again. If not, no worries. Just wanted to extend the offer." Ethan. Grace stared at Ethan's message. Coffee, casual, low stakes, but also intentional. He wanted to see her again, not out of obligation, out of choice. She should probably say no. Give herself time to process everything. Talk to Maya. Be smart and cautious. Instead, she texted back, "Coffee sounds nice. When and where?" His response was immediate. "There's a place called Brew Co. on Maple Street, 11 a.m., or whatever time works for you." Grace knew Brew Co. It was a small independent coffee shop. Not fancy, not trying to impress, just good coffee and comfortable seating. 11 a.m. works. See you there. Looking forward to it. Grace sat on her bed, staring at the exchange. What was she doing? She'd been dumped less than 12 hours ago. She should be crying, processing, eating ice cream and watching sad movies, not agreeing to coffee with a handsome stranger. But Ethan didn't feel like a stranger. He felt like someone who understood. She texted Maya. "Rain check on brunch, I have plans." Plans? With who? "Ethan asked me to coffee." The mystery millionaire. He's not a mystery, and I don't know if he's actually a millionaire. Grace, he drove a Mercedes and his suit probably cost more than my rent. He's a millionaire. Does that matter? No. But also, yes, just be careful and text me after. Actually, text me during. I want live updates. You're ridiculous. I'm protective. There's a difference. Grace smiled, setting her phone aside. She had 3 hours to get ready, 3 hours to decide what to wear, 3 hours to talk herself out of this, or into it. She chose a simple outfit, jeans, a soft cream sweater, minimal makeup, not trying too hard, just herself. At 10:55, she walked into Brew Co. The smell of fresh coffee and cinnamon rolls hit her immediately. Indie music played softly in the background, students with laptops, a mum with a stroller, an older couple reading the newspaper together, comfortable, unpretentious, real. And there, in the corner by the window, was Ethan. He wasn't in a suit today, just jeans and a dark blue Henley that made his eyes look even more grey. He looked up when she entered, and his face broke into a genuine smile, the kind that reached his eyes. Grace walked over, her heart beating faster than it should. "Hi." "Hi," Ethan said, standing. "You came. You sound surprised." "Honestly? A little. I thought you might change your mind. Decide last night was just adrenaline and sympathy." "Was it?" Grace asked, sitting down across from him. Ethan sat too, leaning forward slightly. "Not for me, was it for you?" Grace considered the question honestly. "I don't know yet, but I wanted to find out." "That's fair." A barista appeared. "What can I get you?" Grace ordered a vanilla latte. Ethan already had a black coffee in front of him. "Straight black?" Grace asked after the barista left. "I like to taste the coffee, not bury it in sugar and cream." "That's very utilitarian." "I've been called worse," Grace smiled. The barista returned with her latte, a perfect foam heart on top. She took a sip. Perfect temperature. Just sweet enough. "So," Ethan said, "how are you? Really? Honestly? I don't know. I should be devastated. And part of me is, but mostly I just feel relieved. Relieved. Like I was waiting for Derek to leave. Expecting it. And now that it happened, I don't have to wait anymore." Ethan nodded slowly. "That makes sense. When you've been hurt before, you're always bracing for the next blow." "Exactly." They fell into conversation easily, talking about everything and nothing. Grace told him about her design work, the corporate clients who wanted boring, the small businesses who wanted magic but had no budget. Ethan told her about his latest investment, a startup creating affordable housing using sustainable materials. "Most investors think I'm crazy," he said. "The profit margins are thin, but the impact is huge, and that matters more. Not many people think that way. Not many people have been one bad month away from homelessness. Changes your perspective." Grace found herself leaning in, wanting to know more. "When were you that close?" "College. Sophomore year. My mum got sick, couldn't work. I was trying to stay in school and send her money. Ended up living in my car for 3 months. Grace's heart clenched. "Ethan, I'm so sorry." "Don't be. It taught me what matters, and it made me who I am." "Is your mum okay now?" Ethan's expression softened. "She's great. Remarried to a wonderful man. Living in Arizona, retired and happy. You take care of her." It wasn't a question. "Of course. She sacrificed everything for me. It's the least I can do." Grace felt something shift in her chest. This man, this wealthy, successful man, hadn't let money change what mattered. "What?" Ethan asked, noticing her expression. "Nothing. Just, you're not what I expected." "What did you expect?" "I don't know. Someone more arrogant? Entitled? Rich guys usually are." Ethan laughed. "I've met those guys. Can't stand them." "But you work with them." "Doesn't mean I have to like them." 2 hours passed without either of them noticing. The coffee shop filled and emptied around them. Grace's latte went cold. Ethan ordered them both fresh drinks, and they kept talking. About childhood, about dreams, about the things that scared them, and the things that made them feel alive. Finally, Ethan glanced at his watch. "It's almost 2. Have you eaten?" Grace blinked, surprised. They'd been talking for 3 hours. It felt like 20 minutes. "No, I haven't." "There's a great sandwich place next door. Want to grab lunch?" Grace should say no, should create some distance, process everything that had happened in the last 24 hours. Instead, she said, "I'd love that." The sandwich shop was small and crowded, the kind of place locals loved but tourists never found. They ordered at the counter. Grace got turkey and avocado, Ethan got a club, and found a table near the window. So, tell me about your design work, Ethan said. What made you want to do that? Grace took a bite, considering. I've always loved creating things, making something beautiful out of nothing. In college, I started doing logos for friends' small businesses. Then those friends referred me to others, and it just grew. Do you love it? Most of the time. When I get to work with clients who trust my vision, it's incredible. But a lot of times people hire me, then micromanage every detail. Those projects drain me. So why do you take them? Because they pay well, and I need the money. Ethan nodded. Have you thought about being more selective? Only taking projects you actually want? That's a luxury I can't afford. Why not? Grace set down her sandwich. Because I have rent, student loans, a car payment. I can't just turn down income because a project isn't inspiring. What if you could? What do you mean? Ethan leaned forward. What if you had enough financial cushion to be selective, to only take work that excited you? What would that look like? Grace had never really let herself think about it. I'd probably focus on non-profits and small businesses, people doing meaningful work who can't afford big agencies. I'd create branding that actually reflects their mission, not just what's trendy. That sounds amazing. It's also not realistic. Those clients can't pay what I need to live. Not right now. But what if you built a reputation as the designer who helps mission-driven organizations? Eventually, you could charge what you're worth because you'd be offering something unique. Grace stared at him. You make it sound so simple. It's not simple, but it's possible. I've seen it happen with dozens of entrepreneurs I've worked with. I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm a freelancer, scrambling to pay bills. What's the difference? Grace opened her mouth, then closed it. She'd never thought about it that way. An entrepreneur has a vision and builds toward it, Ethan continued. A freelancer reacts to whatever work comes their way. You have the skills to be an entrepreneur. You just need to believe it. That's easy for you to say. You have money and connections, and I have those now. I didn't always. When I started investing, I was using student loan money I should have spent on food. I believed in companies when everyone else said I was crazy, and I was wrong a lot. But I was also right enough times to build something. He met her eyes. You're capable of the same thing, Grace. You just need to give yourself permission to try. Something in his words hit deeper than Grace expected, not because they were new, but because he said them like he actually believed them, like he saw potential in her she'd forgotten existed. Why do you care? She asked quietly. About my career, my dreams. You barely know me. Ethan was quiet for a moment, because I see something in you that I recognize. Talent that's being wasted because you don't believe you deserve more. And I can't stand watching that happen. You're a fixer. Maybe. Or maybe I just recognize when someone's playing small because they've been told they should. Grace felt tears prick her eyes. Ryan used to tell me my design work was a hobby, that I should get a real job with benefits and stability. Ryan was an idiot, and Derek said I wasn't ambitious enough. Derek was a bigger idiot. Grace laughed through tears. You're very certain about that. I am. Because ambition doesn't look one way. It's not just climbing corporate ladders and chasing titles. It's building something meaningful. And that's what you want to do. He reached across the table, covering her hand with his. Don't let other people's narrow definitions make you doubt yourself. Grace looked down at their hands. His touch was warm, steady, grounding, not possessive or demanding, just present. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For seeing me. Really seeing me. Not who you want me to be or who you think I should be, just me. Ethan squeezed her hand gently. You're easy to see, Grace. You just need to start seeing yourself the same way. After lunch, they walked. No particular destination. Just wandering the neighborhood, talking. Ethan told her about the first company he ever invested in, a disaster that lost him $50,000 he didn't have. I thought my life was over. I'd taken a massive risk and failed spectacularly. What did you do? I learned everything I could from it, figured out what I'd missed, what red flags I'd ignored, and I used that knowledge on the next investment. Which succeeded. Which failed too, Ethan admitted with a laugh, but less spectacularly. And the one after that broke even. And the one after that made me my money back plus profit. So, failure was part of the process. Failure is always part of the process. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying or hasn't actually tried anything difficult. Grace thought about her own fears, how she'd been playing it safe for 2 years, taking any client who'd pay, never pushing for what she actually wanted. I'm scared, she admitted. Of what? Of trying and failing, of putting myself out there and being rejected again. Ethan stopped walking, turning to face her. Grace, you've already been rejected. By your fiancé, by Derek, by clients who didn't value your work. And you're still here. Still creating, still trying. He stepped closer. That's not weakness. That's strength. And yes, if you go after what you really want, you might fail. But you also might succeed. And isn't that possibility worth the risk? Grace looked up at him. They were standing very close now, close enough that she could see the flecks of blue in his grey eyes, close enough to feel the warmth radiating from him. When did you get so wise? She asked softly. I'm not wise. I'm just someone who's failed enough to know it's survivable. And what if I fail again? Then you learn. And you try again. And eventually you succeed. Grace felt something crack open inside her. The walls she'd built, the protection she'd wrapped around her heart. It was terrifying, but also freeing. I should go, she said. Not because she wanted to, but because this was getting intense and she needed space to process. Okay. Ethan didn't push, didn't try to convince her to stay, just accepted her boundary. Can I walk you home? It's 20 blocks. I like walking, Grace smiled. Okay. They walked in comfortable silence, the afternoon sun casting long shadows, couples passing them holding hands, families with strollers, people living ordinary lives. When they reached Grace's building, she turned to face him. Thank you for today, for yesterday, for everything. You don't have to thank me. I want to. Ethan smiled. Then you're welcome. Grace hesitated, then made a decision. Do you want to do this again? Coffee, I mean, or lunch, or just talking? I'd love that. Even though I'm kind of a mess right now. You're not a mess. You're healing. There's a difference. Grace felt her eyes sting. How do you always know the right thing to say? I don't. I just say what's true and hope it lands right, she laughed. Well, it's working. On impulse, Grace stood on her toes and kissed his cheek. Quick, light, barely there, but enough to make Ethan's eyes widen slightly. What was that for? He asked. For being kind to a stranger. You're not a stranger anymore. No, Grace agreed softly. I guess I'm not. She turned and walked into her building. When she looked back through the glass doors, Ethan was still standing there, watching, making sure she got inside safely, just like the night before. Upstairs, Grace collapsed on her couch and immediately called Maya. Her friend answered before the first ring finished. Tell me everything, Grace laughed. We had coffee, then lunch, then we walked for hours. And I don't know. He's different, Maya. He sees me. Really sees me. Grace, you just met him. I know, trust me, I know how crazy this sounds, but it feels right. Maya was quiet for a moment. Okay, I hear you, but promise me something. What? Promise me you'll take this slow. Give yourself time to actually process Derek. Don't rush into something new just because it feels good. Grace knew her friend was right. I promise. Good. Because you deserve someone who's all in, not someone who's just intrigued by the rescue fantasy. What if he's both? Then you figure that out slowly, not in 3 days. After they hung up, Grace sat with her thoughts. Maya was right. This was fast. Too fast. She should slow down, create boundaries, protect herself. Her phone buzzed. Thank you for today. You're an incredible person, Grace Turner, and I feel lucky to know you. Sleep well. Ethan. Grace stared at the message. She should probably not respond. Create some distance. Be smart. Instead, she typed, "Thank you for reminding me who I am. I needed that more than you know. Good night, Ethan." Any time, truly. I mean that. Grace set her phone down, her heart doing complicated things in her chest. 24 hours ago, she'd been heartbroken. Now she was, what? Hopeful, confused, terrified, all of the above. But also, for the first time in 2 years, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she was allowed to want something good. And Ethan Ward felt very, very good, even if it scared her, especially because it scared her. Because the things worth having were always the ones that required courage, and maybe, just maybe, she was finally brave enough to try. Over the next 3 weeks, Grace and Ethan fell into a rhythm. Coffee on Tuesday mornings before Grace's client meetings, lunch on Thursdays at different hole-in-the-wall restaurants Ethan loved discovering, long walks on Sunday afternoons through the city, talking about everything and nothing. They texted throughout the day, not constantly but consistently. Ethan would send her articles about design trends he thought she'd find interesting. Grace would send him photos of particularly bad corporate logos with commentary that made him laugh. It was easy, natural, and that terrified Grace more than she wanted to admit. Because easy things in her life had a way of becoming complicated or ending. 3 weeks and 2 days after the restaurant incident, Grace sat in Maya's apartment, nursing a glass of wine, while her best friend made dinner. "So," Maya said, stirring pasta sauce, "are you going to tell me what's actually going on with Ethan, or are we going to keep pretending this is casual?" "It is casual." Maya turned, wooden spoon in hand, giving Grace a look. "Babe, you've seen him 9 times in 3 weeks. You text him every day. You smile at your phone like an idiot whenever his name pops up. That's not casual." Grace picked at the label on her wine bottle. "What if it is for him? Is that what you're worried about?" "I don't know what I'm worried about. Everything? Nothing? The fact that this feels too good to be real." Maya abandoned the stove, coming to sit beside Grace. "Talk to me. What's really going on in that head of yours?" Grace took a shaky breath. "What if I'm doing it again, falling too fast, seeing what I want to see instead of what's actually there? I did that with Ryan. I ignored red flags because I wanted so badly to be loved." "Okay, but what red flags are you seeing with Ethan?" "That's just it, I'm not seeing any, and that makes me think I'm missing something." Maya took Grace's hands. "Or maybe, and hear me out, maybe this time you found someone who's actually good, who actually sees you and values you. People don't just show up and save you, Maya. That's not real life." "He didn't save you, Grace. You saved yourself. You were sitting in that restaurant crying but not falling apart. Ethan just witnessed you and chose to show up." "But what if I'm confusing gratitude with—" "Stop," Maya interrupted gently. "I've watched you for 3 weeks. This isn't gratitude. You light up when you talk about him. Not because of what he does for you, but because of who he is. What if I'm not enough for him? What if you are?" Grace looked at her best friend, tears forming. "I'm scared, Maya. I'm so scared of getting hurt again." "I know, babe. But you can't protect yourself from pain by refusing to try. That's not living, that's just surviving." That night, Grace couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation with Ethan, looking for cracks, for signs he was too good to be true, for evidence that she was setting herself up for heartbreak. Her phone buzzed. 1:47 a.m., a text from Ethan. "Are you awake? I can't sleep, and I keep thinking about something you said today." Grace's heart raced. "I'm awake, what did I say? That you're not brave. But Grace, you're one of the bravest people I know." "How do you figure that?" "Because you keep showing up, even after being hurt, even when you're scared. That's courage." Grace stared at the message, something loosening in her chest. "I'm scared right now." "Of what?" She debated lying, playing it safe. Instead, She chose honesty. Of this, of us, of how much I'm starting to care about you. For 3 minutes, nothing. Grace's anxiety spiked. She'd said too much, scared him off, proven she was too intense, too needy, too... "Can I call you?" "Yes." Her phone rang seconds later. "Hi." Ethan's voice was soft, intimate in the darkness. "Hi. Grace, I need to tell you something." Her stomach dropped. Here it comes, the ending, the inevitable disappointment. "I'm scared too," Ethan said. Grace exhaled. "You are?" "Terrified, because I haven't felt this way about anyone in... I don't know if I've ever felt this way. And it's only been 3 weeks, which seems insane, but it doesn't feel insane to me," Grace interrupted softly. "No? No. It feels right, which is what scares me." Ethan was quiet for a moment. "Can I be completely honest with you? Please." "That night at the restaurant when I saw you crying, something in me just knew. I can't explain it, but I looked at you and thought, that's someone I need to know." Grace's throat tightened. "I thought you just felt sorry for me. Grace, I've seen hundreds of people have bad moments in public. I've never intervened before. But with you, I couldn't not. Why? Because even crying, even breaking, you had this dignity, this strength, and I was drawn to that like nothing I've ever experienced." Tears streamed down Grace's face. "I don't feel strong. That's because you're in the middle of it. But from the outside, Grace, you're incredible. Ethan, I know it's fast. I know we're supposed to take it slow and be smart. But I need you to know, I'm not playing here. This isn't casual for me. You're not casual for me." Grace pulled her blanket tighter. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'm falling for you, and I wanted you to know that, so you're not scared alone." For a long moment, Grace couldn't speak. Finally, she whispered, "I'm falling for you too, and it terrifies me. We can be terrified together." Grace laughed through tears. "Is that healthy?" "Probably not, but it's honest." They talked for another hour, about their fears, their hopes, their past relationships that had shaped how they loved. Ethan told her about his ex-girlfriend, Vanessa, how she'd admitted after 2 years that she'd never loved him, just his lifestyle. "She said I was nice to have around, but not someone she could actually see herself with long-term. That I was too serious, too focused on work, not fun enough. That's awful. It messed me up for a while. Made me think that's all anyone would ever want from me. The money, the connections. Not me." "I want you," Grace said quietly. "Not what you have. You. I know. That's why this is scary. Because you're real. And real things can hurt." "Yeah," Grace agreed. "They can." Have you ever been scared to love again after being hurt? Drop a comment and let us know. You're not alone in that fear. The next morning, Grace woke to a text. "Thank you for last night, for being honest, for letting me be honest too. Coffee later? Ethan." She smiled, typing back. Coffee sounds perfect. They met at their usual spot, Brew Co. But this time, when Ethan saw her walk in, he stood and pulled her into a hug. Not a polite, friendly hug, a real one. The kind that said, "I missed you even though I just saw you yesterday." Grace melted into it. "Hi," she murmured against his chest. "Hi." They sat, ordered their usual drinks, and Ethan pulled out his phone. "I want to show you something." He pulled up photos of a building. Beautiful old architecture, high ceilings, lots of natural light. "What is this?" "Potential office space for a design studio." Grace's heart skipped. "Whose design studio?" "Yours, if you want it." Grace stared at him. "Ethan, I can't afford..." "I know. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm an investor, remember? I find promising ventures and back them. I'm not a venture. I'm a freelancer with a laptop. You're a talented designer with a vision for helping mission-driven organizations. That's a business model, and I want to invest in it." Grace felt panic rising. I can't take your money. It wouldn't be a gift. It would be an investment, with a proper contract, equity stake, the whole thing. Ethan, just look at the numbers. He pulled out a folder. Of course he had a folder, with detailed financial projections, startup costs, revenue models, conservative and aggressive growth scenarios. It was professional, thorough, and terrifying. You did all this one for me? I did this because it's a sound investment. You have skills, connections, and a market gap you're uniquely positioned to fill. This makes business sense. And if things don't work out between us? Ethan met her eyes. The investment stands regardless. Business and personal are separate. I'd never use money to control or manipulate you, Grace. I've been on the receiving end of that. I'd never do it to someone else. Grace looked at the numbers. They were good, really good, and the office space in the photos was perfect, exactly what she'd dreamed of if she ever let herself dream. I need time to think about this. Of course. No pressure. The offer stands whenever you're ready. Grace closed the folder. Can I ask you something? Anything. Is this about me? Or is this about you trying to fix me? Ethan leaned back, considering the question seriously. That's fair to ask. Honest answer. Maybe a little of both. I see potential in you that you don't see in yourself. And yes, I want to help because I care about you. But I also genuinely believe this is a smart business investment. And if I say no, then I respect that. And we keep having coffee and getting to know each other without business between us. Grace appreciated his honesty. Okay. Okay, you'll think about it. Okay, I'll think about it. That afternoon, Grace had a client meeting. A large corporation that wanted a rebrand. Big budget, high visibility, exactly the kind of project she normally jumped at. But as the marketing director droned on about synergy and leveraging brand awareness, Grace felt nothing. No excitement, no creative spark, just obligation. So, can you have initial concepts by Friday? The director asked. Grace opened her mouth to say yes, to take the job like she always did. Instead, she heard herself say, Actually, I don't think I'm the right fit for this project. The director blinked. Excuse me? Your company needs someone who specializes in corporate branding. That's not my strength. I focus on mission-driven organizations and small businesses. I can refer you to some excellent designers who'd be perfect for this. But your portfolio shows work I've done to pay bills, not work I'm passionate about, and you deserve someone who's passionate about your brand. Grace stood, extending her hand. Thank you for considering me. She walked out before she could second-guess herself. In the elevator, her hands shook. She'd just turned down a $20,000 project. Was she insane? Her phone buzzed. Ethan. How'd the meeting go? I turned them down. Yeah? Yeah. It felt right. Terrifying, but right. I'm proud of you. I might regret this when rent is due. Or you might look back on this as the moment you chose yourself. Grace smiled. When did you become so wise? I learned from this incredible woman I met 3 weeks ago. She's teaching me about courage. Grace's heart swelled. She sounds amazing. She really is. That weekend, Ethan invited Grace to meet someone important. My mum's in town, he said, and I'd really like you to meet her. Grace's anxiety spiked. Meet your mum? Isn't it too soon for that? Probably, but she's only here for the weekend and I talk about you constantly, and she's threatened to show up at my apartment if I don't introduce you. Grace laughed nervously. You talk about me? All the time. It's becoming a problem. What do you say? Ethan stepped closer, taking her hands. That I met someone extraordinary, someone who makes me want to be better, someone who reminds me what actually matters. No pressure then. She's going to love you. I promise. They met Ethan's mom, Patricia, at a small Italian restaurant. She was in her early 60s with kind eyes and Ethan's smile. Grace. Patricia stood immediately, pulling her into a hug. I've heard so much about you. All good, I hope. All wonderful. Ethan can't stop talking about you. Mom? Ethan's ears turned red. What? It's true. Grace said this. Grace did that. Grace is so talented. I told him I needed to meet this miracle woman. Grace laughed, immediately liking this woman. Over dinner, Patricia told stories about young Ethan. He was such a serious child, always working, always worried about money. I told him to play, to just be a kid, but he was determined to help. I saw what you were going through, Ethan said quietly. I wanted to fix it. Patricia reached across the table, squeezing his hand. And you did. You gave me a life I never dreamed possible. But I worry you forgot to build your own life in the process. She looked at Grace. Until now, maybe. Grace felt heat rise in her cheeks. We're still figuring things out. That's the best part, Patricia said. The figuring out. Don't rush it. Let it unfold. Later, when Ethan went to the restroom, Patricia leaned closer. Can I tell you something? Of course. I've never seen my son like this. Light, happy, present. Whatever you're doing, please keep doing it. I'm not doing anything special. You're letting him be human instead of just successful. That's everything. When Ethan returned, Grace felt something shift. This was real, not just attraction or chemistry or good timing, but something deeper, something worth the risk. The following Tuesday, Grace got a text that made her heart stop. Derek. Grace, I've been thinking about you. I made a mistake. Can we talk? She stared at the message, her stomach churning. 3 weeks ago, she would have been elated, vindicated, proof she was worth coming back to. Now she just felt nothing. She showed the text to Maya over lunch. What are you going to do? I don't know. Part of me wants to ignore it. And the other part? Wants closure, wants to hear him admit he was wrong. Do you need that? Grace thought about it. Maybe. Or maybe I just need to tell him exactly what I think of how he treated me. Then do it, meet him. Get your closure, but Grace? Yeah? Don't go back. Not even for a second. You've moved on. Don't let him pull you backward. Grace agreed to meet Derek for coffee. Not at Bruco, that was her and Ethan's place. Somewhere neutral. He was already there when she arrived, looking nervous. Grace, thanks for meeting me. She sat across from him, crossing her arms. You have 15 minutes. Talk. Derek blinked at her directness. Okay, I wanted to apologize for how I ended things. It was cruel and you didn't deserve that. No, I didn't. I've been thinking about you, about us, and I think I was too hasty. Maybe we could try again. Grace stared at him. A month ago, these words would have meant everything. Now they meant nothing. Why? What? Why do you want to try again? What changed? Derek shifted uncomfortably. I've missed you, missed what we had. What did we have, Derek? 3 weeks of dating where you were already checking your phone and losing interest. That's not fair. You left me alone at a restaurant in front of strangers after telling me I wasn't ambitious enough for you. So tell me, what exactly changed in 3 weeks? Derek ran his hand through his hair. The woman I started seeing, it didn't work out. And there it was. Grace felt the truth settle over her like cold water. So I'm your backup plan. No, that's not... Derek, be honest. If things had worked out with her, would you be here right now? His silence was answer enough. Grace stood. I deserve better than being someone's second choice. I deserve someone who sees my quiet nature as strength, not weakness, who values my work instead of dismissing it. Grace, wait. No. You made your choice. You told me exactly what you thought of me. And you know what? You were wrong. I am ambitious. I'm building something meaningful. I'm pursuing work I'm passionate about. I'm just not doing it the way you think I should. She leaned forward, her voice steady and strong. And I'm with someone who sees that, who sees me, really sees me, not who they want me to be, but who I actually am. Derek's face fell. You're with someone else already? I'm with myself for the first time in years, and yes, I've met someone who supports that instead of diminishing it. Grace grabbed her bag. Goodbye, Derek. I hope you find what you're looking for, but it's not me. She walked out, her heart pounding but her head clear. For the first time since Ryan left her at the altar, Grace felt powerful, not because a man wanted her back, but because she'd chosen herself. Outside the coffee shop, Grace pulled out her phone and called Ethan. He answered immediately. "Hey, how did it go?" I told him off, walked out, and I feel amazing. Ethan's laugh was warm and proud. Yeah? Yeah, Maya was right. I didn't need his closure. I just needed to say my piece. What did you say? That I deserve better, that I'm done being someone's second choice, that I'm building something meaningful, and I don't need validation from people who can't see my worth. Grace, I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of me too, she paused. Ethan? Yeah? I've been thinking about your offer, the investment. And I want to do it, not because of us, but because it's the right move for the business I want to build. You're sure? Terrified, but yes, I'm sure. Then let's make it happen. If you've ever had to choose yourself over someone who didn't value you, let us know in the comments. That moment of standing up for yourself, that's power. Over the next 2 weeks, Grace and Ethan worked on the business plan. He introduced her to his lawyer to draw up proper investment contracts, connected her with other entrepreneurs he'd backed, helped her develop financial projections and growth strategies, but he also gave her space. Never pushed, never tried to take over. Just offered guidance when she asked and stepped back when she didn't. One night, working late at Ethan's apartment, Grace looked up from her laptop. "Can I ask you something?" Ethan glanced up from his own work. "Always. Why are you really doing this? And I want the complete truth, not the investor pitch." Ethan set down his pen. "You want the complete truth?" "Please." He walked over, sitting beside her on the couch. "Because watching you come alive when you talk about design, really talk about it, not just the projects you take for money, is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen." Grace's breath caught. "Because you have a gift for seeing what organizations need before they know they need it. And that's rare." He took her hand. "And because I spent years building wealth with no real purpose beyond security. But backing you, helping you build something that matters, that gives meaning to everything I've built. So it's not just business. It's business and personal and completely intertwined. And maybe that's messy, but it's honest." Grace leaned her head on his shoulder. "I'm still scared." "Of what?" "That if the business fails, we fail. That I'll disappoint you. That this will all fall apart." Ethan wrapped his arm around her. "Grace, listen to me. The business might succeed or fail. That's entrepreneurship. But us, we're separate from that. I'm not investing in you because I want something from you. I'm investing because I believe in you. And if we break up, then I'll still believe in your business, and I'll still honor every contract we signed, because that's what integrity looks like." Grace tilted her head up to look at him. "How are you real?" "I ask myself the same thing about you every day." He leaned down, kissing her softly. It was their first real kiss. Not on the cheek, not hesitant, but deliberate and full of promise. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. "I've wanted to do that for weeks," Ethan admitted. "What took you so long?" "I wanted to make sure you were ready, that this wasn't just rebound or gratitude." "It's not. I know. That's why I kissed you." Grace laughed, pulling him back down. "Then you should probably do it again." "Good idea." The next morning, Grace woke up on Ethan's couch, laptop still open, business plans scattered around them. Ethan was in the kitchen, making coffee. "Morning," he said when he saw her stirring. "I made your vanilla latte. Poorly, but I tried." Grace stretched, smiling. "You have an espresso machine?" "I bought one after our second coffee date. Seemed easier than always going out." "You bought an espresso machine because of me?" "I've made questionable investments before. This one's paying off." Grace laughed, accepting the coffee. It was terrible. Too much vanilla, not enough foam. But it was the sweetest thing anyone had ever done for her. "This is awful," she said. "I know. I'll stick to investing. You stick to design." "Deal." They sat together in comfortable silence, drinking bad coffee and good company. Grace's phone buzzed. Maya. Lunch today? I need details about everything. Grace typed back. Lunch sounds perfect, and there's a lot to tell. At lunch, Maya listened to everything. Derek's attempted comeback, Grace turning him down, the kiss with Ethan, the business plan, all of it. When Grace finished, Maya sat back, studying her friend. You're glowing. Am I? Yes, and it's not just about Ethan. You're glowing because you chose yourself. It feels good, scary, but good. Grace, I'm going to say something, and I need you to really hear me. Okay. I was wrong about Ethan. Grace's eyes widened. What? I was protective and skeptical, and I stand by being careful. But I've watched you these past few weeks. This isn't rebound. This isn't rescue. This is genuine. Maya reached across the table. He's good for you, not because he's fixing you or saving you, but because he sees you and celebrates you. That's what you deserve. Grace felt tears prick her eyes. Thank you, for being protective and for being honest. That's what best friends do. So you approve? I more than approve. I actually like him, which is saying something because I don't like anyone. Grace laughed. You like some people. I like you, and now I like Ethan. That's two people. My limit. That weekend, Grace signed the investment contracts. Official, legal, real. Ethan didn't make a big deal of it, just handed her a pen, witnessed her signature, and then took her to dinner to celebrate. How does it feel? He asked over pasta. Terrifying, exciting, like I just jumped off a cliff and I'm not sure if there's water below or rocks. There's water. I checked. You can't know that. I can make an educated guess based on your talent, work ethic, and market research. And my guess is you're going to soar. Grace took a sip of wine. Can I tell you something? Anything. I used to think I needed someone to complete me. That being alone meant I was broken. And now? Now I know I'm complete on my own, but you make me want to share that completeness. Not because I need you, but because I choose you. Ethan's eyes softened. That's the most beautiful thing anyone's ever said to me. It's true. He reached across the table, taking her hand. I choose you too, Grace. Every day. Not because you need saving or fixing, but because you make me better, happier, more human. We're really doing this, aren't we? We really are. It's fast. It is. People will talk. Let them. Grace smiled. Okay. Okay? Okay, let's do this. Build a business. Build a relationship. See where it goes. Together? Together. 2 months later, Grace stood in her new studio space. The old building Ethan had shown her in photos looked even better in person. High ceilings, exposed brick, natural light flooding through massive windows. Her name on the door. Grace Turner Design Studio. She'd spent weeks setting it up. Her desk, her equipment, vision boards for clients she actually wanted to work with, mission-driven non-profits, social enterprises, small businesses trying to change the world. Her first client was a women's shelter that needed branding. They couldn't pay much, but they were doing important work, and Grace was doing work that mattered. Ethan appeared in the doorway, carrying coffee and pastries. Thought you might need fuel. Grace beamed. You're the best. I know it's a burden. She took the coffee, perfectly made this time. He'd been practicing, and looked around her studio. I can't believe this is real. You built this, Grace. Yes, I provided capital, but you did the work, created the vision, made it happen. We make a good team. The best. Grace's phone buzzed, an email from a potential client, a sustainable clothing company that had seen her work with the women's shelter. They wanted to hire her, and they had a real budget. Ethan, look at this. He read over her shoulder, grinning. See? It's already working. You do meaningful work, word spreads, and the right clients find you. Grace threw her arms around him. Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. Thank you for letting me be part of this. They stood there, in her studio, wrapped in each other and possibility. And Grace realized something profound. She'd spent 2 years thinking that night at the restaurant was rock bottom, her lowest point. But maybe it wasn't an ending. Maybe it was the beginning. The moment everything had to fall apart so it could come together differently. Better. Truer. And the man who'd said he'll regret losing you had become the man who made her believe she was worth choosing. Not because he rescued her, but because he saw her, really saw her, and helped her see herself the same way. That night, Ethan took Grace to the rooftop restaurant where they'd met. Same table by the window, same view of the city lights. But everything else was different. "Why here?" Grace asked as they sat down. "Because I wanted to replace a bad memory with a good one." "That's very sweet. Also because I have something to ask you." Grace's heart skipped. "Okay." Ethan reached across the table, taking her hands. "Grace, I know it's only been a few months, and I know people will say it's too fast, but I've never been more certain of anything in my life." "Ethan, I'm not proposing, not yet, but I'm telling you that I'm all in completely. This isn't casual for me, this isn't temporary, you're it for me." Tears streamed down Grace's face. "You're it for me too." "Yeah?" "Yeah. And it scares me and thrills me and feels more right than anything ever has." Ethan stood, came around the table, and pulled her to her feet. "Then let's be scared and thrilled together." He kissed her, right there in the restaurant where everything had started. And Grace realized that sometimes the worst nights lead to the best beginnings, that being left alone at a table wasn't the end of her story. It was the prologue. And the man who'd sat down across from her that night, he wasn't her savior, he was her partner, her equal, her choice. And she was his. 6 months after opening Grace Turner Design Studio, Grace sat in her office reviewing proposals. She had 3 employees now, 2 junior designers and an account manager, a client roster that included non-profits, social enterprises, and mission-driven businesses across the country. And for the first time in her adult life, financial stability that didn't come from taking every project that paid. She'd chosen her work, and her work was choosing her back. Maya appeared in the doorway holding takeout bags. "Lunch delivery for the boss lady," Grace laughed. "I'm not the boss lady, I'm just me. You're the owner of a successful design studio. That makes you the boss lady." Maya set down the food, Thai from their favorite place, and settled into the chair across from Grace's desk. "So, how does it feel?" "Surreal. Good. A little terrifying." "Why terrifying?" "Because I keep waiting for it to fall apart, for something to go wrong." Maya pointed her fork at Grace. "That's trauma talking. You've been conditioned to expect abandonment and failure, but babe, look around. You built this, and it's working." Grace glanced around her studio, light streaming through the windows, her team collaborating in the open workspace, boards covered in designs for clients doing meaningful work. "I did build this, didn't I?" "You absolutely did. With some smart investment capital, yes. But Ethan didn't design these logos, you did. He didn't land these clients, you did." Grace smiled. "When did you become my cheerleader?" "When you finally started believing you deserved to win." That evening, Grace attended a networking event for small business owners. She normally avoided these things. Too much small talk, too many people asking what you do before deciding if you're worth talking to. But her account manager had insisted. "You need to network, Grace, that's how you grow." So here she was, glass of wine in hand, making polite conversation with strangers. She was talking to a woman who owned a sustainable furniture company when she heard a voice that made her freeze. "Grace? Grace Turner?" She turned slowly. And there he was, Ryan, her ex-fiancé, the man who'd left her 3 weeks before their wedding, the man whose rejection had defined her for 2 years. He looked older, tired around the eyes, not the confident, ambitious man who'd told her she wasn't enough. "Ryan, hi. I can't believe it's you. How are you?" Grace took a breath, steadying herself. "I'm good. Really good, actually. I heard you started your own company. Wow. That's great." There was something in his tone, surprise maybe, or disbelief that she'd actually done it. Thank you. It's been an amazing journey. Ryan shifted uncomfortably. Can we talk? Just for a minute? Grace glanced at the furniture designer, who gave her an understanding nod. Sure. 1 minute. They stepped onto the venue's balcony, the city lights spread out below them. Ryan ran his hand through his hair, a nervous gesture she remembered too well. I've wanted to reach out for a while now, to apologize. Okay. I was a coward, Grace, leaving you like that, 3 weeks before the wedding. You deserved better. Yes, I did. Her directness seemed to surprise him. I've thought about you a lot, wondered how you were doing. If you forgave me. Grace looked at this man who'd once been her whole world, who she'd planned a future with, who'd shattered her with his rejection, and she felt nothing, no anger, no longing, just peace. I forgive you, Ryan, not because what you did was okay, but because holding on to that pain wasn't serving me. I made a mistake, Grace. Amanda, the woman I left you for, we broke up a year ago, and I've realized that what we had, what you and I had— Stop, Ryan blinked. What? I know where this is going, and the answer is no. You don't even know what I was going to say. You were going to say you made a mistake, that you've realized I was the one, that maybe we could try again. Ryan's silence confirmed it. Grace stepped closer, her voice firm but not unkind. Ryan, you did me a favor by leaving. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. You leaving forced me to rebuild myself, to figure out who I was without you, to pursue dreams I'd put aside. But we were good together. We weren't, actually. I made myself smaller to fit into your vision of what I should be. I gave up on my design work because you called it a hobby. I stopped dreaming because you needed me to be practical. She took a breath. That wasn't love. That was me trying to earn your approval, and I'll never do that again. Grace, I'm different now. Maybe you are. But I'm different too. And the woman I am now knows she deserves someone who celebrates her ambition instead of diminishing it, who sees her quiet strength as an asset, not a flaw. You met someone. It wasn't a question. I did. But that's not why I'm saying no. I'm saying no because even if I was single, I wouldn't go back. That chapter is closed. Ryan looked like he'd been slapped. I never stopped loving you. Then you should have fought for me 2 years ago. Not now, when it's convenient for you. Grace turned to leave, then stopped. I hope you find what you're looking for, Ryan. I really do. But it's not me. Not anymore. She walked back inside, her heart pounding but her head clear. She'd done it, faced her past, and chosen her future. Outside the venue, Grace called Ethan. He answered immediately. Hey, how's the networking event? As terrible as you expected? Grace laughed, the sound a little shaky. Worse. Ryan was there. Ethan's tone shifted. Your ex? Are you okay? I'm perfect, actually. He tried to apologize, hinted at wanting another chance. And I told him no. Told him exactly what I thought. And then I walked away. Grace, I'm so proud of you. You're not worried. He's the one that got away, the great love story that didn't work out. Grace, stop. You're the great love story. You and your courage and your strength. Ryan is just the plot device that led you to yourself. Tears streamed down Grace's face. How do you always know what to say? Because I see you, really see you, and you're magnificent. I'm leaving the event. Can I come over? Please do. I'll order from that Italian place you love. You're perfect. I'm really not, but I'm perfect for you. Do you believe everything happens for a reason? That sometimes the worst heartbreak leads to the best growth? Let us know in the comments. That night, curled up on Ethan's couch after dinner, Grace told him everything. Every word of her conversation with Ryan. Every emotion she'd felt. How it had felt to finally, truly let go. I spent 2 years thinking he broke me, she said quietly. But he didn't. He just broke my illusion of who I was supposed to be. Ethan ran his fingers through her hair. And who are you supposed to be? exactly who I am. A designer who cares more about impact than income. Someone quiet who's learning that quiet doesn't mean weak. A woman building something meaningful on her own terms. That's who you've always been. Ryan just couldn't see it. But you did. I saw you at your lowest moment, remember? Crying in a restaurant, abandoned and humiliated. And even then, you had dignity, grace, strength. That's who you are, in your worst moment and your best. Grace turned to look at him. I love you. It was the first time she'd said it out loud. Ethan's breath caught. Yeah? Yeah. I'm terrified and uncertain about a lot of things, but I'm certain about this, about you, about us. Ethan cupped her face gently. I love you too. So much it scares me sometimes. Good scared or bad scared? The best scared. The kind that means it matters. He kissed her, soft and deep and full of promise. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. So, Ethan said, I have a question. Okay. How do you feel about meeting my business partners? There's a dinner next week. Very boring, very corporate, but I'd like you there. As your girlfriend or as a fellow business owner? Both. I want them to meet the woman I love and the brilliant entrepreneur I invested in. 2 birds, 1 stone. Grace laughed. Efficient. I try. Okay, I'll go. But you have to come to my team's happy hour next Friday. Deal. The business dinner was exactly as boring as Ethan had promised. But Grace found herself holding her own, talking about her design studio with confidence, fielding questions about her business model and growth strategy, being taken seriously. One of Ethan's partners, a woman in her 50s named Diane, pulled Grace aside near the end of the evening. I've worked with Ethan for 10 years, never seen him like this. Like what? Happy, present. He's always been brilliant but distant, like he was going through motions. But with you, he's engaged, alive. Diane smiled. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I'm just being myself. Exactly. That's what he needs. Someone real. 3 months later, Grace's studio landed its biggest client yet, a national non-profit focused on education reform, 6-figure budget, high visibility, the kind of project that could transform her business. She called Ethan immediately. I got it, the education non-profit. They chose me. Ethan's joy was immediate and genuine. Grace, that's incredible. I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done this without you. Yes, you could have. Maybe it would have taken longer, but you absolutely could have. You earned this, Grace. Thank you for believing in me, for investing in me, for everything. Thank you for letting me be part of your journey. That night, they celebrated with champagne and takeout Chinese food in Grace's studio. Look at you, Ethan said, gesturing around. 6 months ago, this was an empty space. Now it's a thriving business. Terrifying, right? Incredible. Grace leaned against her desk. Can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever regret it? That night at the restaurant? Getting involved with someone else's drama? Ethan set down his champagne glass and crossed to her. Grace, that was the best decision I've ever made. That night I was sitting at a bar, completely alone despite being surrounded by people. Wealthy but empty. Successful but hollow. He took her hands. And then I saw you, crying but dignified, broken but not destroyed, and something in me just woke up. You felt sorry for me. No. I recognized myself in you, someone who'd been told they weren't enough. And I thought, if I could help you see what I saw, maybe I'd remember how to see it in myself too. Grace felt tears forming. You saved me. No, Grace. We saved each other. 1 year after the restaurant incident, Ethan took Grace back to Skyline, the same rooftop restaurant where everything had started. Grace knew something was coming. Ethan had been nervous all day, checking his pocket repeatedly. But she let him have his surprise. They were seated at a different table this time, not the one where Derek had left her, but one with an even better view. Dinner was perfect. Great food, better conversation, comfortable silences. When dessert arrived, Ethan seemed to make a decision. "Grace, do you remember what I said to you that first night?" "You said a lot of things." "I said, he'll regret losing you. Anyone would." "I remember. I meant it then, and I mean it even more now." He stood, came around the table and knelt beside her chair. Grace's breath caught. "Grace Turner, you walked into my life on what you thought was your worst night, but it was actually the best night of mine, because I met someone extraordinary." He pulled out a small velvet box. "You're brilliant and kind and stronger than you know. You make me want to be better. You remind me what actually matters, and I can't imagine my life without you in it." He opened the box, revealing a simple, elegant ring. "Will you marry me?" Grace was crying now, nodding before she could even speak. "Yes, yes, absolutely yes." Ethan slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her as the restaurant erupted in applause, just like it had a year ago, but for a completely different reason. When they pulled apart, both were laughing through tears. "I love you," Grace said. "I love you too. Always." They were married 6 months later. Not a huge wedding. Grace had learned from the almost wedding with Ryan that big productions didn't matter. Just close friends and family in a garden ceremony. Maya as maid of honor, crying the entire time. Patricia, Ethan's mom, beaming in the front row. Grace's design team, cheering when she walked down the aisle. And Ethan looking at her like she was his entire world. During the reception, Maya gave a toast that made everyone laugh and cry. I was skeptical when Grace told me about Ethan. A millionaire who rescued her from a bad date. It sounded like a romance novel. Too good to be true. She smiled at them. But watching them together, I realized something. Ethan didn't rescue Grace. He witnessed her. And sometimes, being seen is the greatest gift we can give someone. To Grace and Ethan, may you spend the rest of your lives seeing each other clearly and loving what you see. 2 years after their wedding, Grace stood in Skyline Restaurant once again. But this time she wasn't there for a date. She was there observing from across the room. At a table by the window, a young woman sat alone, clearly trying not to cry. Grace recognized the look, the trembling hands, the forced smile, the humiliation of being abandoned in public. She'd been that woman once. Grace approached slowly. "Excuse me, I don't mean to intrude, but I saw what happened, and I wanted to make sure you're okay." The woman looked up, wiping her eyes. "I'm fine. Just embarrassed." "You have nothing to be embarrassed about." Grace gestured to the empty chair. "May I?" The woman nodded. Grace sat down, and for a moment just let the silence hold space. Finally, the woman spoke. "He said I wasn't exciting enough, that he needed someone more spontaneous." Grace's heart ached with recognition. "I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to really hear it." The woman looked up. "That man just did you a favor. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but someone who makes you feel like you're not enough. They're not your person." "How do you know?" Grace smiled sadly. "Because I sat at a table just like this 2 years ago. My boyfriend told me I wasn't ambitious enough and walked away. Left me sitting here crying, convinced I was the problem. What did you do?" "A stranger sat down and told me something I needed to hear. That the guy would regret losing me. That I was worth more than how I'd been treated." The woman's eyes widened. "Did it help?" "It changed everything. Not immediately, but that kindness from someone who had no reason to care, it reminded me that I was still worthy. Even in my worst moment." Grace pulled out a business card. "This is my card. If you ever need someone to talk to, or if you just need a reminder that you're going to be okay, call me." The woman took the card, reading it. Grace Turner Design Studio. "You're a designer?" "I am. And 2 years ago I was working freelance, taking any job that paid, convinced I'd never be brave enough to build my own business." "What changed?" Grace thought about Ethan, about the business he'd helped her build, about the life they'd created together. I met someone who saw potential in me I didn't see in myself, who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, and slowly, I started believing too. The woman wiped her eyes. Your boyfriend? The one who left you here? Oh no. Someone else. Someone who was sitting at the bar that night and saw me crying. He came over, made sure I was okay, and reminded me that being left doesn't mean you're not worthy of being chosen. Grace smiled. We've been married for almost 2 years now, and I run a successful design studio, and I'm happy, really, truly happy. The woman stared at her. So you're saying there's hope? I'm saying that sometimes the worst nights lead to the best beginnings. I know that sounds like a greeting card, but it's true. Grace stood. You're going to be okay, I promise. It won't feel like it tomorrow or next week, or maybe even next month. But one day, you'll look back on tonight and realize it wasn't an ending, it was a redirection. The woman stood too, impulsively hugging Grace. Thank you. For stopping. For caring. Someone did it for me once. I'm just paying it forward. Grace left the restaurant and found Ethan waiting outside, leaning against his car. How'd it go? I think I helped. I hope I helped. Ethan pulled her into his arms. You definitely helped. Because that's who you are. Someone who shows up for people. I learned from the best. They drove home together, hands linked across the console. Their home, not Ethan's penthouse or Grace's old apartment, but a house they'd bought together, filled with Grace's art on the walls, Ethan's books on the shelves, a life built together piece by piece. That night, lying in bed, Grace stared at the ceiling, Ethan's arm around her. Can I tell you something? She asked. Always. Sometimes I still can't believe this is my life, that I get to do work I love, that I'm married to someone who sees me, that I'm happy. Why can't you believe it? Because 2 years ago, I was convinced I was broken, that Ryan leaving proved I wasn't enough, that Derek walking away confirmed it. She turned to face Ethan, and now I know the truth. I was always enough. They just weren't my people. Ethan brushed a strand of hair from her face. You were always enough, Grace. You just needed to believe it. Thank you for helping me see that. Thank you for letting me. They kissed, soft and sweet, and full of the comfort that comes from being truly known. Ethan? I'm glad Derek left me at that restaurant. Ethan pulled back slightly, surprised. Really? Really? Because if he hadn't, I might have stayed. Settled for someone who made me feel small, and I never would have met you. Well, when you put it that way, I should probably send Derek a thank you card. Grace laughed. Please don't. Too late. I'm composing it in my head. Dear Derek, thanks for being an idiot. It worked out great for me. You're ridiculous. You married me anyway. Best decision I ever made. 6 months later, Grace stood in front of a room full of young women at a small business conference. She'd been invited to speak about building a mission-driven company, about staying true to your values even when it's financially risky. But as she looked out at the audience, she decided to tell a different story. 2.5 years ago, she began, I was sitting in a restaurant crying. My boyfriend had just told me I wasn't enough and walked away, and I sat there humiliated, convinced he was right. The room was silent, every eye on her. I want to tell you what happened next, not because it's a fairy tale, though parts of it feel like one, but because I think we need to hear these stories, stories about how our lowest moments can become our turning points. She told them about Ethan, about the stranger who sat down and saw her when she felt invisible, about the business he helped her build, not by saving her but by believing in her, about learning to choose herself. Here's what I learned, Grace said, her voice strong and clear. Being rejected doesn't mean you're not enough. It means someone couldn't see your value, and that's their loss, not yours. She paused. The right people, the right partners, the right investors, the right clients, they'll see you, really see you, and they'll celebrate what makes you different instead of trying to change it. A young woman in the front row raised her hand. How did you know Ethan was the right person? How did you trust again after being hurt? Grace smiled. I didn't know, not at first. I was terrified. But I decided that being scared and trying was better than being safe and settling, and I gave myself permission to take it slow, to heal while building something new. She looked directly at the young woman. Trust isn't something you give all at once. It's something you build piece by piece with someone who proves they're worthy of it. And Ethan proved it, every day, in small ways and big ones. Another hand went up. Do you ever worry it'll fall apart? That you'll lose everything you've built? Every day, Grace admitted. But I've learned something important. I built this business, me. Yes, Ethan provided capital and guidance, but I did the work. I landed the clients. I created the designs. She gestured around. Which means even if everything else fell apart, which it won't, I'd still have the skills, the experience, and the confidence to build again. Because I know now that I'm capable. The room erupted in applause. After her talk, women lined up to speak with her, to share their own stories of rejection and rebuilding, to ask advice about businesses they wanted to start, to thank her for being honest about the fear that comes with trying. One woman, probably in her early 30s, waited until everyone else had left. Thank you, she said quietly, for saying that being rejected doesn't mean you're not enough. I needed to hear that today. Grace recognized the look in her eyes. Fresh pain. Recent heartbreak. What happened? My fiancé left me last month. Said he needed to find himself and that I was holding him back from his potential. Grace's heart clenched. I'm so sorry. Everyone keeps saying I'll be fine, that I'll move on, but right now I just feel broken. Grace took the woman's hands. You're not broken. You're breaking. There's a difference. Breaking is a process. It's painful and messy and it takes time, but it's also how we make space for new growth. How long does it take? There's no timeline, but I promise you, one day you'll wake up and realize you're not just surviving anymore. You're living, and you'll look back on this moment and see it differently. As what? As the moment everything had to fall apart so it could come together the way it was always meant to. The woman's eyes filled with tears. Did you really believe that when you were in the middle of it? No, Grace admitted. I believed I was unlovable, that something was fundamentally wrong with me. It took time and therapy and good people around me to see the truth. What's the truth? That rejection is often protection, that sometimes losing someone clears the path for the right person, and that you are already enough, exactly as you are. You just need to believe it. The woman nodded, wiping her eyes. Thank you. Really. You're going to be okay. I promise. That evening, Grace came home to find Ethan in the kitchen, attempting to cook dinner. Something was burning. Should I be worried? She called out. Only if you're opposed to slightly charred chicken. Grace laughed, joining him. She wrapped her arms around him from behind while he tried to salvage their meal. How was the conference? Good, really good. I told our story. Yeah. How'd people react? They loved it. And afterward, a woman told me her fiancé just left her. She looked exactly how I felt 2.5 years ago. Ethan turned, wrapping his arms around her. What did you tell her? That she's not broken. That rejection is often redirection, that the right person will see her value. Wise words from a wise woman. I learned from experience. Ethan kissed her forehead. I'm proud of you. For turning your pain into purpose. For helping other people see what you couldn't see in yourself back then. I'm proud of us for building something real, for choosing each other every day. Even when I burn dinner, especially when you burn dinner, it keeps you humble. They ordered pizza instead and ate it on the couch, Grace's head on Ethan's shoulder. Can I tell you something? Ethan said. Always. That night at the restaurant, when I saw you crying, I almost didn't go over. Part of me thought it was none of my business, that I should just leave you alone. What made you change your mind? You looked up for just a second, and I saw something in your eyes. Not just pain, but determination, like you were going to get through this even if it killed you. And I thought, that's someone worth knowing. Grace turned to look at him. And am I? Worth knowing. And am I worth knowing? You're worth everything, Grace, every risk, every vulnerability, every moment of fear, because you're real. In a world full of people performing, you're authentic, and that's rare. So are you. We're rare together. The rarest. 1 year later, Grace returned to Skyline Restaurant for an anniversary dinner. 3 years since the night that changed everything. As they were leaving, Grace noticed a young man sitting alone at a table, clearly just been stood up. She watched as he checked his phone repeatedly, his face falling further each time. Grace looked at Ethan. "Do you mind if I—" "Go," Ethan said with a smile. "I'll wait by the car." Grace approached the young man's table. "Excuse me, I don't mean to intrude, but I couldn't help but notice. Are you okay?" The young man looked up, embarrassed. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just, apparently my date had something better to do." Grace smiled gently. "Can I tell you something? 3 years ago I sat at a table just like this one. I'd just been dumped in the middle of dinner, and a stranger came over and said something that changed my life." The young man's eyes widened slightly. "What did they say?" "They reminded me that being left doesn't mean you're not worthy of being chosen, that the right person will see your value." She gestured to Ethan, waiting by the entrance. "That stranger became my husband, and that terrible night became the beginning of the best thing that ever happened to me." The young man managed a small smile. "So you're saying there's hope?" "I'm saying that sometimes what feels like an ending is actually a beginning. You just can't see it yet." Grace pulled out a card, not her business card this time, but one she'd had made specifically for moments like this. It simply read, "You are enough. The right person will see that. Someone who's been there." With her phone number on the back. "If you ever need to talk to someone who understands, call me. Sometimes we just need to know we're not alone." The young man took the card, his eyes watering. "Thank you. Really. You're going to be okay. I promise." As Grace walked to where Ethan was waiting, he pulled her into his arms. "You're going to end up with a full-time counseling practice at this rate. Would that be so bad?" "Not at all, just might want to charge for your services." Grace laughed. "Some things are worth doing for free." They walked to the car hand in hand, the city lights twinkling around them. "Do you ever think about that night?" Grace asked. "Our first night here?" "All the time." "Do you regret it? Getting involved?" Ethan stopped, turning to face her. "Grace, that was the best decision I ever made. Walking over to your table, taking a chance on a connection with a stranger, choosing to see you instead of looking away." He cupped her face gently. "You changed my life, made me remember what actually matters, taught me that success without love is just empty. You saved me." "No, love. We saved each other." Grace stood on her toes, kissing him softly. "I love you. I love you too. Always." They drove home together, to the life they'd built from broken pieces. A life that started with tears in a restaurant and led to joy beyond measure. A life that proved rejection really was redirection, and that sometimes the person you're meant to spend forever with shows up exactly when you need them most, not to rescue you, but to witness you, to see you, to choose you, and to remind you that you were always worthy of being chosen.